Hi everyone, my name is Lindsay Stockman, and today I'm going to talk to you about physician-assisted suicide, or also known as death with dignity. So let's get started. So what is physician-assisted suicide, or death by dignity? According to MedicineNet, physician-assisted suicide is a voluntary termination of one's own life by administration of a lethal substance, with direct or indirect assistance from a physician. So basically what this means is that the physician would prescribe a lethal dose of a certain medication and tell the patient how it is to be taken, as in you'll see later with some videos I'm going to give you the options to see. It's possible that the person would take them up to an hour before they would like to pass, or up to 30 as well as 30 minutes. It could be a liquid or pills. Usually there is a physician present to make sure that they're administered correctly, and or the right dosages and everything. So that is what physician-assisted suicide / death with dignity actually is. So what states are physician-assisted suicide allowed in? Currently, California, which was established in 2015, it's currently on hold, and there's some court hearings that are being held on this. So it's currently not happening. We then have Colorado, which established it in 2016, Hawaii, 2018, Montana, 2009, Oregon, 1994, Vermont, 2013, and Washington State in 2008. So you can follow all of these for the link that I put earlier on the discussion board last week. So if you want to know more about any of these states or their current statute for the physician-assisted suicide law, it's there. So not anybody can just go to their doctor and say, hey, I want you to give me some medicine so you can, help me commit suicide, right? So what qualifies a patient for physician-assisted suicide, okay? So there are guidelines, okay? Most right to die laws require the patient to be expected to die within a certain period of time, to be a certain age as well, and follow certain consent guidelines. What this really means is that if the patient can't make their request verbally, then they might be able to do it through their healthcare agent. It really depends on the state. So a healthcare agent would be someone they've appointed to represent them in their health. So, if it were me, it might be my husband or my mother or father, or somebody that could speak on my behalf. But most of those states that we just went over, they're going to have the patient do it themselves. So this is when we start to really look at each state and the law and what each one requires, okay? So this is a very controversial topic, and it's been in the news for quite a few years, and we're going to talk about that more in just a second. But why is it considered controversial? For one, a lot of people in organizations such as Not Dead Yet, which is an organization, are against physician-assisted suicide. They believe that everyone has the right to live, and that physicians are violating their ethical code in assisting people in doing this. And actually some doctors feel that it's not within their ethical guidelines to assist people in doing this. So this is when we really get to questions that I want you to think about, and questions I would like for us to talk about in our discussion posting. So do you consider this a controversial topic? I think it can be, depending on the person, depending on what your beliefs are, your morals. But really, I want you to take a step further than that. Okay, let's look at this next question. If someone's terminally ill or cannot have the life that they want due to illness, okay, should it be up to that person to end their life? What if the person isn't able to voice that they want something, or can't have the quality of life that they've always had, and now they're a totally different person because they can't do the things that they love to do anymore? Should it be up to them to decide whether or not they want a physician to help them in their life? Should doctors be allowed to deny someone the right to die? And does it, in your eyes, so you personally, does it violate the doctor's rules of ethics to assist someone on their suicide? Really think about these. I'm really interested to see what discussion postings we come up with and what some of the answers are. I know we could get into religion quite a bit with these, but I really want you to think about them. And after we go through some of these stories in real life people who've been through this, I want you to, think about these again for a second time. So let's just take a look at Oregon and look at how many people are actually choosing this topic, or this option, excuse me. So according to their most recent annual report, and I posted a link at the bottom for you, In 2017, 218 people received prescriptions under the Act. Okay, they were prescribed by 92 different physicians. 143 died using them, including 14 who had received their prescriptions earlier, as in the year before, in 2016. So in the previous years, most patients were over 65. Okay, it says right there, over 80%. 76.9% had cancer. Okay. Almost 91% were on hospice at the time of death, and 90% died at home. Okay. In 2017, the estimated rate of death under the law was almost 40% per 10,000 total deaths in the state. In Oregon, if we go back, right? So Oregon was the first state to allow this in 1994. So just keep that in mind as we go through this, okay? So in the media, if you're a Netflix person, like I tend to be sometimes, there's a great show that is very funny called Grace and Frankie. And it's about these two actresses whose husbands end up leaving them because the husbands have fallen in love with each other. But in season 2, episode 12, which aired in 2016 on Netflix, you'll see the picture, the top one, which is Babe, the actress played by Estelle Parkins, ask Frankie, who's played by Lily Tomlin, to assist her in her death with dignity. So in this situation, okay, they actually are in California, and Lily Tomlin, or Frankie in the show, is not a physician, but she assists her friend in taking a dosage of something that will help her die peacefully. As Babe reveals in the episode, she has been dying for quite some time and she's ready to go. So it's kind of been put out there a little bit, especially in shows like Netflix, but just wanted to share that with you for an example. And then let's talk about a real life person. Okay, so let's talk about the life of Brittany Maynard. She came out quite a few years ago that she was 29 years old. She was only given 6 months to live. She had just gotten married. She and her husband were talking about having children. And they found a large tumor, and she was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. So terminal meaning that there is no cure and it will kill her, okay? So when they looked at all the treatment options, they exhausted them, they decided that she wanted to have death by dignity. So her family, which was in California, decided to move to Oregon so she could do that. So Brittany had actually announced publicly that she was going to end her life on November 1st, 2014. And she says publicly in some videos, I'm going to share the links with you on that. It may be the first, it may not be, but she suffered quite a bit from seizures and some pretty other significant things, and she decided to go this way. So some other things I want you to think about. After hearing a little about Brittany Maynard's story and her being so young but suffering so much, after seeing and hearing about her, have your feelings toward physician-assisted suicide or death with dignity changed? Why or why not? I also want us to talk about this one in the discussion. Does it help to visualize an actual person dealing with something? Does it make you feel like it's not just people wanting to do this, it's actually people who are suffering? So think about that. So here's a link to the Brittany Maynard video. It's just one of them. If you go to YouTube and click and enter in her name, there's quite a few videos. This is just one that I chose. I was going to show a few minutes of it here now, but it is quite long. But I highly encourage you to watch the video. She really goes into her symptoms and how she got to where she is today. So I encourage you to watch that. Also, there is this YouTube video about Dan, who is Brittany's husband, and was actually there with her in her passing. And he speaks with Oprah, who asked him questions about what it was like on that day and how did things actually go for them. Was it a normal day? And, you know, what actually happened? And it's very interesting to watch. It's a shorter video, but again, it would take up probably 5-6 minutes of our time. And I didn't think Bergman would like that. So, again, another example. If you don't watch Brittany's video because it's longer, at least watch this one. And then for those of you who read my post on why I chose this topic, this is my favorite professor from my undergraduate class. This is Professor Seamus McNerney. He taught humanities at UNC Asheville when I was there, and he was an amazing professor. This picture was when he was quite young, and he was not looking like this when I had him. He had very long, hippie, curly, white hair and these big blue eyes, and he was probably, 6'5", and he was very thin, and he was just such an intriguing teacher. And we kept in touch for quite a few years after I graduated, and we lost touch. But I know even when I was having him in undergrad, and I graduated in 2010, he suffered quite a bit with his diabetes. He had type 1 diabetes. He had a lot of eyesight problems to where he couldn't drive anymore. He couldn't ride his motorcycle. He was very depressed about that because that was a lot about who he was. But I found out, 2 years ago now, and here's part of his obituary. I put the link to it here, that he orchestrated his own death. And he went to Colorado and did that by being surrounded by family and friends, and also participating in the physician-assisted suicide, death by dignity laws that they have there. So there's a link to that. So I hope that hearing about death by dignity or physician-assisted suicide has opened your mind a little bit. I hope that you're thinking outside the box, maybe in questioning some of your previous assumptions about what people might consider death by dignity. And don't forget our questions that we're going to go over here again one more time. So do you think this is a controversial topic? What if someone is terminally ill, or they can't have the life that they want due to their illness? Should they be allowed to end their own life? Isn't it their own life to choose? Should doctors be allowed to deny someone the right to die? For me, I kind of look at this like birth control, or we'll just stick with birth control. A lot of doctors won't allow some young women to have birth control or Plan B right when it was coming out. So should doctors and pharmacists be allowed to do that to someone? And in your eyes, does it violate the doctor's rules of ethics to assist someone in their own death? Okay. And then, after seeing Brittany Maynard, who we've talked about, have your feelings changed with physician-assisted suicide? Why or why not? Or were you already thinking that this was an okay idea? Either way, just let me know. Put it in the comments. And again, if you're not going to watch the Brittany Maynard video, please watch the Dan video with Oprah, who was her husband. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them for me. Thanks so much.